Chapter 3, AE Surface Acquisition. Perhaps no other phase of the Air Force project design and construction process is more controlled policy and regulation than the selection of the architectural engineering of the X constellation. For the purpose of the chapter and to help the Air Force project management, the selection of the contract sets. While some of the information chapter apply for the operational maintenance and P-3041 minor construction, military, family housing, medical, non-appropriated funded projects is intended to address primarily the military construction program. The chapter is written with the perspective of the Air Force program management as design agent with a major command base with the Air Force program management is not the Department of the Army, the Air Force, program management, the responsibility change. In these situations, the Air Force program management should work with the DA to review to clarify the Air Force program manager responsible for the commencement of the A&E selection process. In October 1972, the Congress passed with the Public Law 92-582, the Title 41 of the United States Code 542 of the Brooks Architectural Engineering Act, with the establishment of the federal law with the qualifications based on the selection process. A copy of the Act's appendix of the Brooks Act, use of the Brooks Act's qualification-based selection process, acquisition, A&E, the Service of the Department of Defense construction projects are covered in detail with the Federal Acquisition Regulations. Department of Defense FAR supplemented with the 236.3 or 236.6 for the Air Force FAR Supplementary Air AFFARS 53366 A 5321023 chart. Chapter 3, additional guidance to Air Force. All Air Force personnel involved with the air selection process must be knowledgeable in the application of the regulation of the Air Force Civil Engineering Policy. AE selection process and approval requirements. First step with any activities to get organized with the Air Force program managers to prepare an A&E selection checklist. The A&E selection schedule to track the events of the responsibility party to achieve the activity. Use generic products available. The appendix 10 and 11 in military context. Military construction code software, the military AFCE, Brooks AF, military DC product, the DC products AFCP, review the variation of each of the activity regarding the size complexity of the project, including historic delays, and consult the contracting officer when preparing the AE selection schedule to make sure the total schedule duration, including historical essential delays, fits in overall Air Force program goals. If not reviewed, the alternative delay strategy with the contracting AE service consideration using existing IDIQ, AE contracting required with the time required, and an AE to get started with the after program initiation checklist. The Air Force program manager should enter information into the program design construction PDC system for the automated civil engineering system of the program manager ACE PM as appropriate. Ensure all necessary approvals are required with the A&E selection process as initiated with the completed Air Force Air Instruction 321023. Chapter 3 establishes the requirements A&E selection approval authorities as follows. The A&E fees of $75,000 or $750,000 or less. The major command with the civil engineer with the command with the Air Force AFCEE and AFCESCA. Selection approval authorities will be expected a fee for life with the contract is $750,000 or less. Major Com may delegate the selection approval authority to the base and civil engineer with the organization possesses the national security technical staff and the registered professionals satisfy the requirements of the selection board. See the appendix 12 of the AE selection authority letter. AFE regulators greater than $750,000 civil engineering headquarters U.S. Air Force is in selection approval authority where the expected A&E fee of the life of the contract exceeds $750,000. B. The A&E state selection approvals identified delivery identified with the quality in A&E contracts. Identified delivery identified indefinite quantity IDIQ contracts. Currently, the indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts with the Medicon military minor construction MFH medical operational maintenance non-appropriated funded projects consistent with the basic of the contract years plus the optional contract years. Maximum fee limitations of $150,000 per contract year and $290,000 per delivery order. However, the initial delivery order in any of the contract may be up to the contract year limitation of $750,000. $750,000 left. Major comment at the CE's commanders of the AFCEE and AFCESCA are selection approval authorities. The indefinite delivery identified quality contracts where the accepted fee to any single contract award is $750,000 less. Major Com may delegate authority to the basic contracting engineer with the organization possess the necessary technical staff registered professionals to satisfy the requirements for the selection board. More than $750,000 headquartered U.S. Army Force and engineering and logistics approval authority with the indefinite delivery and indefinite quality contracts were expected. The ANFE fee is any of the single contract years expected to exceed $750,000. The number of indefinite quantity contracts in base for the have may have been in place that generally been limited only the requirements sufficient A&E workload existing to justify the multiple contracts. These multiple indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts do not unduly restrict competition when the multiple A&E contracts are awarded for the single solicitation. The fee limitations apply separately to each of the contract. Headquarters of the U.S. Army, Air Force, and Engineering and Staff, AQC, may grant waivers to the indefinite quality fee limitations when justified in unusual circumstances. Requirement of two separate waiver requests are required. Major common requesting bodies of the AFCEE and AFSCA may submit the waiver request from the AFR 5336-6910. One SAF AQC and Major Com CE, AFSCA CC, and the AFSCA CC also must submit a waiver requesting selection of authority approval to the headquarters U.S. Army Air Force and U.S. Army Air Force Engineering Construction. Selection, approval, authority, responsibility, approval, commercial business state announcement, and other forms of the official announcement, approval of the proposed members of the selection board prior to the release of the commercial business day announcement, approval of the pre-selection board, selection board appointment letters, and the C, the AFI 321023, Chapter 3, Sections 8 with the chapter for the additional information, approve of the pre-selection board with minutes when required, approve the selection board minutes and the final A&E slate. Title 10, U.S. Standard Code 2807 notification. Air Force Program Managers should check to see if the Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 2807 action has been initiated. The section is required when the cost of the A&E service for the project of the group project is estimated to be greater than $500,000. If required, the Congress must be notified. The SAF MII notification process will take 30 to 45 days. Unit notification process completed. Any contract cannot be awarded. The delivery order for any of the existing indefinite and indefinite quality A&E contract cannot be processed. The Air Force Program Manager must ensure that the time of the process includes the A&E selection schedule. The notification required with the Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 2807 does not apply with the identified indefinite quantity. A&E contract, see Appendix 4 of the Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 2807 for the title information, Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 2807. The Defensive Contracting Auditing Agency, depending on the determination, contracting officers, the A&E audits from the other agencies may be used to satisfy the Defensive Contracting Agency requirement. The Air Force Program Manager should fee estimate the direct design based on the level of the effort not to exceed 6% of the construction cost. Design fees of $500,000 greater than the A&E has not been audited by the Defensive Contracting Auditing Agency within the past 12 months. Then an audit is appropriate. CFARs 154034 and 15402. The Air Force Program Manager should note that the contracting officer policy may be more stringent, and an A&E audit every 6 months may be local practices. Since no A&E has been made at this point, approximately 45 to 60 days, the A&E selection process scheduled for the audit. The other approvals since the most end of the A&E acquisition take months. Major com base should be the initiated action following the indefinite quality contracts for the beginning of the final operation for any of the. Is it like what is it? Indefinite delivery, indefinite quality contracts being of the final operation of any of the current indefinite delivery and indefinite contract quality. Any contracts pre-business clear memos of the contract $500,000 greater than major common approval. The approval added to the project time and must be reflected with the A&E schedule. The Air Force Program Manager must coordinate with the contracting officer, relevant approval authorities to determine the anticipated delays in the process. For purchase request and certification funded project design of the A&E, the Air Force Program Manager should verify early in the A&E selection process the funds available for the A&C service. The funds may become the major other sponsoring activities outside the base sources. The lack of funds at this point cannot be stopped the process. The A&E program management estimated the funds A&E services should be based upon the scope and the requirements of historical data in the similar project. However, the funding of the amount of the indefinite delivery and indefinite quantity contracts must be equal and greater than the contract minimum guaranteed amount of the check. The contracting officer with the local required procedure and forms. Major base must be determined the funds of the request can be processed through a normal procedure. If urgent, with the Air Force Program Manager should hand carry the funds requesting through the process. The Air Force Management initiated the purchase request. Air Force form request for the purchase and other local information. Local form identifying the funding and the amount of the required provided with the description of A&E served the Air Force Program and is served the purchase request from the appropriate the major of the base financial management office that validates funding and availability, processing the funding documentation. The contracting officer maintains the funding documentation with the project file. The Air Force program manager must include the statement of the ozone depletion substances on each of the funding request documentation. See Appendix 13, ozone depleting substances statement for the example of the ozone depletion statement. Substances statement required by the AFR's 5323-8907, 535223-223 The commitment of the funds of the letter and the AF Form 9 should include the minimum, the PD, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling back here. I'm trying to find the definitions of the PDC and ACE. Screw it. PDC and ACE project manager official, your project name, base location, amount of the funds being reserved for the project. Where the funds are held with the major common basics, such as where the funds are available, which must provide with the contracting officer issuing the request for the proposal with A&E and letters signed by the authorized finance manager, sample the filing certification reservation fund, the documentation appendix 14, 15, 16, so the military construction codes, the product, the picks, the list of the AFC products, AFM, the DC product, the DC product analysis, AF form, major command, major command commitment, the funds letter, the major command commitment funds message. 5. Preparation of the commercial business daily synopsis. The necessity of the procedure for preparing the synopsis. Generally, a commercial business day announcement is not required with the expected with the AA fees for the lister. Then the small purchase amount of the project, small business 8A set aside check with the AFR's 5336.690 contracting officer regarding 8A requirements. If the project scope of the requirements are unclear with the Air Force program manager must comply with the use of the clarification of the project management plan with the requirements documentation have to complete certain issues. The strategic decision must be settled now and reviewed with the contracting officer prior to the preparation and completion of the commercial business day synopsis. The commercial business day synopsis should include the intent of the contract, cost range, the required service derivation of the contract, special consideration, prioritized list of evaluation criteria to be used in the A selection. If the AFP prepares the draft for the commercial business day synopsis that coordinates with the review and approval of the actual synopsis, the review signature authorities are subject to the local policy. Contracting officer reviews the draft of the commercial business day synopsis in compliance with the Title 15 U.S. Standard Code 631 and the Small Business Act is required to send the project synopsis to small business utilization special for the review against the small business program requirements or set. Small disadvantaged business utilization review usually requires several days to the review and scheduling all the selection phases of the activities projection of the small business, all the disadvantaged business, the 8A set aside project, the contractor officer responsible for the setting of the approval synopsis of the commercial business day. Small disadvantaged business utilization review applies to both fixed, firm, and price indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. Preparing commercial and business daily synopsis. The sample of the commercial business daily is available in Appendix 17. The commercial base daily synopsis military construction software provided for the document necessary to satisfy the requirements of a particular project. Commerce business to daily synopsis in accordance with the FARS 5207B and use of the Corex classification code of the use of the Section C architectural engineering service purpose 5207G in general. List of any of the specific requirements, specific skill required by the A&E firm review the Department of Defense for 1391 of the requirement documentation program management plan. Ask the base core engineering staff and use of the special requirements when appropriate includes the exemption of the data gathering and analysis decision of share as parts of the qualification selection criteria be significant enough for the outlying requirements for firms are available to to highlight related skill and techniques that may be the job selecting qualified candidates, be specific qualification selection criteria, as well as the A&E avoided the submittal process on project where they are not qualified and helps the provider with the SAC unqualified submissions, defining the project location, scope of the correction, loss range, and estimated start date, performance period, and then ensuring the announcement requiring the submission of the both standard forms, the S5F, standard form 255 and 254, and identify the construction delivery standards to be used in the project and design building, bid building, fast track, and other appropriate methods specified for closing date of the closing business on the Thursday day of the following publication of the commercial business day announcement. The closing day falls on the holiday or on weekend. Note that the closing will be extended to a predetermined time on the next business day. They identify the Air Force Program Manager at the point of the context synopsis, contracting officer, recipient of the standard form 254 and 255 submittals, unless the contracting officer delegates the responsibility to the Air Force Program Manager. When advertising an A&E service in the Commercial Business Daily, Commerce Business Daily, include the instances of the requirements in the A&E required with the multiple dissimilar details, cost estimating capability. Few A&Es have such capability and will obtain the appropriate consolations. Additional evaluation factors can be inserted with the synopsis selection criteria with the Air Force Program Management. These may specify computer-aided drafting, design, geographical information, or processing other technical requirements. Check with the base coordinator, executive, Base Corps engineering staff to determine if the specific technical requires apply. See A&E evaluation criteria, including synopsis, list of primary and secondary A&E evaluation criteria, the published order, the criteria of the Commercial Business Daily determines the relative importance of the evaluation criteria that must be used. The selection boards, as far as 236.602.1 requires primarily factors that carry the greater significance weighting of the secondary factors and additional factors. Address the determination most highly qualified, most ranked above all secondary factors. Preliminary evaluation criteria mandatory per FARS 223.401, FARS 36.602.1, and including professional qualification necessary to satisfactory performance as required, service specified experience, technical competency with the type of the work, including appropriate experience in engineering, conservation, pollution prevention, waste reduction, and the use of recovered materials, capacity to accomplish the work on the required time as performance of the contractor, government agency, private industry, determines the cost and control, quality control, compliance with the performance schedule. Secondary evaluation criteria is included location, general geographical location provided with the knowledge of the locality of the project, provided application criteria, leaves as an appropriate number to the qualified firm within the nature and size of the project, designation, specific geographical area, and distance of the project location requires approval of the contracting officer for inclusion in the Air Force Program and its deletion location as the selection of the force of the indefinite delivery, identifying definite quantity contracts involving the work at the various locations acceptable under an appropriate evaluation criteria, including the intent of the government to equitable distribute the project among being qualified firm. Volume of the work awarded to the firm by the Department of Defense during the past 12 years. 12 months actually mandatory per DFAR 236.602. One states that the primary factor of the A&E selection determined the most highly qualified firm. Also considers secondary factors such as geographical proximity, equitable distribution. Work does not attribute the great significance of secondary factors than qualification, past performance, do not direct overall mostly highly qualified firmly solely interest equitable distribution of contracts. The synopsis should request the A&E provided with the data under Section 10 of their standard form 255. Heading evaluation factors can be added to the selection criteria of the Air Force Program Manager that may be specified with the CAD or GIS word program processing other technical requirements. Checking of the Base Corps engineering staff determine the specific technical requirements as required. Air Force to Instruction 32.1023, Chapter 3, Military Construction Codes. For additional information, Air Force Program sends for the completed sign-ups to the contracting officer for review and transmission of the Commercial Business Daily. After issuing the synopsis, the contracting officer scheduled the required meetings notified with the civil engineer personnel for the established time to enable the members of the evaluation team to plan time for the meeting to avoid scheduling conflicts. It is also important to use private securing meeting places. Architectural engineering services. Title I services related to the specific construction project consisting of the field services, investigation, obtaining, designing data, preparation, contracting, plan specification, cost estimates. Title II services related to the specific construction project consisting of the construction, supervision, inspection, construction, other A&E services, design, construction-related services, but not connected with the specific construction project. The service consists of the developing design criteria, fact-finding studies, surveys, investigation, performance, commercial items, The service consists of developing design criteria for planning the state, study, surveys, investigation, performance, environmental projects involving the prevention of the compliance with the restoration with the service registered architects and their engineers are qualified excluded. Services may not be performed registered engineer architecture that is provided with design, construction equipment, the computer programs. Forest Part 36601-4A, the following definitions of architecture engineering, except the provisional service and architectural engineering nature is defined as per state law with the state of the law required to perform the improvement of the registered architectural engineer performance services, architectural engineering nature associated with design, construction of the real property, other professional services, architectural engineering nature for the services identical thereto, and including the studies, investigations, surveying, mapping, the testing, evaluation, consultation, comprehensive planning, program management, conceptual design, plan, specification, value, engineering, constructional phase services, soil engineering, drawing, views, preparations, the operation maintenance manuals, other related services logically justifiable, requiring performance registered architects and engineer of their employees, professional surveying, mapping services of the architectural and engineering nature, CFARS 36601-4A for the further clarification of the items that describe the specific A&E services required, such as the planning, designing, engineering, surveying, mapping, construction phases. Services consistent with the language of the Brooks Act. Construction phases services broad defined the services approved by the A&E firms in-house personnel, construction management first, other sources during the construction of the project, funding the first such services depending on whether these services are provided with the purpose of completing the design effort, assuring the contractor compliance with the requirement of the following section addresses the A&E services and finding the criteria in the greater detail. The Title 10 U.S. Standard Code 45, 40, 720, 7212-954 limits the portion of the A&E fees for the correct direct design services at 66% estimated cost of the construction project needed for the producing and delivering the design plans, drawings, specification need for a construction project. FARS 154044, the FARS 236606700 provided additional guidance to the recorded negotiations and government estimate must really show the cost of direct design services does not exceed 6 million, 6%. 6% limitation. The following example, the A&E service is not considered the integral part of the direct design service of the military construction project schedule will be excluded from the A&E's fee with the determination compliance with the 6% limitation of the service as well as direct design services that should be funded with the planning and design P313 account. Insight visits and field topographical property boundary utility right of way surface development surface exploration boring soils maintenance material testing result in reports flow engaged with the model of testing reproducing design documentation review process preparation of the costing construction cost estimate comprehensive integrity design services preparation general feature of the design memorandum models returning and photographs of completed design constructional phase services preparation verification as all built during drawings during the construction the planning of the consultant installation non-specifically applied preparation of the design plans, drawings, and specification for project. Preparation of general deployment criteria not specifically related to the military construction project management, the contracting administrator, the A&E service of contracting in conjunction with the services excluded from the 96% limitation, documentation, reproduction, travel, per diem costs, connection with the service excluded from the 6% limitation. The following A&E services are considered with the advanced planning, but must be funded with the operation and maintenance of the and account the developing master plan for the installation, developing requirements of the military construction project, alternating site studies, developing validating military construction project documentation prior to the commencing of the project design, preparation, engineering analysis, study of the developing technical design parameters, preparation as built in the drawings of the existing facilities prior to the subsequent renovation alteration project, preparing environmental impact assessment statements and supporting data management, the contracting administrator of the A&E service contract in connection with the above the services of documentation, reproduction, travel, the period, and cost in connection with the above services of the appendix 18 FARs for reference to the A&E contract for the list of the FARs reference pertaining with the A&E contract. 6. The preparation of A&E statement of work. The statement of work defines the initial scope of the requirements of the request for the proposal issued with the successful A&E form. The Air Force Program Manager prepares the Department of draft the statement of work reviewed in accordance with the existing policy recommendation. The final draft of the statement of work completed with the coordinated with the contracting officer prior to the submittal deadline. The standard forms 254 and 255 on the first line. The Air Force Program Manager should do the compare with the Department of Defense Form 1391 programmed amount with the government estimated based upon the Air Force program metric costing estimated system. Their pays the otherwise applicable parametric estimating system. The other compared with other projects if the resource is not available if the location major comm headquarters the AFCE and AFFESCA cost discretionary need to be resolved the earliest possible date. For quality control and writing of the standard work of the standard statement of work, the C, the generic statement of work, the statement of work, Appendix 19, with electrical vision, the military codes for the software, the following the good baseline of the statement of work and checklist. Identify the project program, the amount and scope, identify the intent of the contract incorporated in multiple design disciplines, type of design services required, formerly known as the Title I, Title II, base, comprehensive plans, and other services. Identify the design consideration of design discipline, including reference to all the standard government publication-based comprehensive plan and area development plan, housing community plans, etc., including the publication debates of all the references, including any of the special submittal requirements, renderings, the drawing standards of the CAD criteria, special studies of the product, and clearly define any of the options, including the expiration date of the options. Check overall design schedule to determine if inadequate the complexity of the project and the service required. Include any options the facing requirements required with the project, including all this of all the government furniture and equipment, the government furniture materials, and to be supplied with the specific A and C, A required according with the government furnished equipment and government furnished material, included the contract construction contract. Specify the type of requirement, design analysis, sustainable deployment, the value, engineering, life cost, engineering, alternate building system study, drawing cost estimate, specification required, check the base corpse engineering with the drafting standard media requirements, CAD compatibility, identify the high cost, high impact constellation into items such as the site approval issues, historical, cultural sites, the floodplain areas, explosive safety clearance, and the electromagnetic interference, aircraft noise, asbestos, other hazardous material, cranes, uninterpreted power system, etc. Check with the Department of Defense 1391 an environmental assessment a section of any of the requirements that must be incorporated with the state of work provided with the operational maintenance funds for the issues for this effort. Ensure all the environmental studies, economic analysis, requirements that have been initiated completely with the Office of Primary Responsibility exist. The identify specifically design requirements, considerations such as energy, environmental studies, sustainment, development, life cycle cost analysis, traffic studies, handicap requirements, forest protection, systematic interior design, acoustical, operational maintenance manuals, operating training value, engineering chartes, and etc. Say A and E requires submittal with milestones, identify some special distribution submission for the reviewer, verify the review address to the provincial lowest or submittal they require for the A and E distributed submission to the reviewers noted non-deadlines with review comments of all type of the special distribution documentation adequate with the time of the co-organization consolidate review components, encourage reviewers to consolidate with review of the components as at the same time that has minimized the A and E. Architectural engineering fees. In the statement of the work established, the A&E is responsible for the construction pre- and post-award with requirements of attending with the pre-bid conference, addressing any inquiries raised during the bidding phase of the attending pre-construction conference. If required, also establish the A&E responsible for that is built with required documentation. If the support services are procured with the consult the use of the base core engineering programs, technical staff, the special requirements of Air Force programs should coordinate with the draft statement of work with the following people: the user major com base corps engineering staff, the contracting officer, consult with the design discipline based support personnel to provide clear requirements for the specific areas in i.e. mechanical, electrical, security, communications, life service, UFT, fire protection, pollution prevention, etc. The user should perform thoroughly review and should provide comments for the Air Force program manager, ensuring the requirements are adequate stated in the statement of work of the major comment, and the base core engineering staff should review the comment of the draft of the statement of work. The contracting officer reviews the statement of work clarity to determine the sufficient detail furnished and to provide with a clear price proposal. The Air Force program manager to consider all consent comments and submitted with the coordinated with the class to clarify the statement of work of the contracting officer. 7. The independent government estimate. Preparing an independent government estimate. The Air Force program manager, the design agent, with the appropriate with the person. The independent government estimate. Although understand the project scope is essential. Preparing the independent government estimate. The Air Force will use to require the site visit, review the project criteria, the documentation, discussion with the appropriate base personnel, typical considering planner of the secret police, communication, fire, environmental safety, fire, and operations, and the using organization considering impact for the outside agency required may have the cost estimate. These agencies include state historical preservation office, environmental protection agencies, utility companies, regulatory agencies. Air Force program management may use judge alone and will involve other disciplines in preparation estimate, and other whether disciplines may be the review of the completed estimates to the detailed import or during working level meetings with the discipline. Air Force program manager is responsible for the following: inserting the independent government estimate is restricted to official use only. The distribution does not include any aspects of the estimate, but aspects of the A&E. Ensure the independent government estimate Format consistent with the contracting office procedure, clearly separate A&E fees. The estimated the directive design serve the preparation of the design plans, the drawing specification covered by this fee limitation, but the other required design services not required with the fee limitation. Estimate should reflect actual work required. Does not use the percentage of the estimated construction to be established in an independent government assessment estimate. Base work on the effort of the bed discipline, sheet count, meetings, and field investigation, determine land, labor, man hours, preparing a list of the construction only required for the design and engineering effort required for each of the sheet for the listings required for the estimated man hours to prepare the detailed specification, prepare cost estimate. Each estimated man hour required for the contractor submitted with the release design analysis, calculation, interior design, conferences, energy budget also allow the management internal ordination time. The careful review of the site of the survey requires to ensure the required site of theirs is actually covered and the necessary site survey costs are avoided. Alright, let's check base record to determine if the geographical data of the report is available. Acceptable data is not available, then complete. Determine how many new soil borings are required. Ensure the worker is included with the statement the worker has basically requirements. Clearly separate the cost of the travel period productions so consultation services such as survey, engineering, analysis, investigation, environmental reports, etc. Profit may be not added to these items depending on the contracting officer interpretation. The A&E may not be allowed as additional property outside of the constellation. The practices also need to be verified with the contracting officer. See Appendix 20 for the profit calculation worksheet. For the example, the profit calculation worksheet, or for the direct design for the producing, delivering design plans, the drawing specification needed for the construction project if they're necessary, with a 6% statutory limit based on the estimated cost of the construction, the entire program amount, with which include the contingency, supervision, inspection, overhead. CFARS 140404 and FARS 236606070. Further information, compare the independent government assessment estimate for the other rule of thumb from previous project. Compare the fee of the estimated construction costs. General rules and hints: the A&E project management time should be approximately 10% of all the professional time. A&E staff members are generally 20 to 30 man hours per sheet. A non-professional A&E staff member are generally 40 to 50 man hours per sheet. The topographical survey crew for 4 people can generally survey 5 acres per day, including the independent government estimate. Listing all assumptions made in the preparation. See the sample independent government estimate with the appendix of the independent government estimate in the Military Code software product, particularly AFC Brooks AFML under the product service of the AFM program manager may want to begin to edit one of these examples to satisfy the project requirements. B. Coordinating the independent government estimate, the Air Force program management coordinated for the independent government estimate, appropriate to the financial management office, the availability of certain funds. In some cases, the funding may come from MajorCom winning or sponsored other than a base. The Air Force program manager, the transparent, the independent government estimate with the standard worker contracting officer. Some of the independent government estimate with the contracting officer going to occur with the prior to the issuing the request for the proposal. The contracting officer will document the receipt of the independent government estimate and the contract file to support the preparation of the request for proposal. See Chapter 9 for the special non-appropriated fund requirements. 8 pre-selection boards appointments. Most A&E selections use both a pre-selection board, but the pre-selection board is important with narrow the field down with the limited number of the most highly qualified firms are capable of design projects. Will submit these shortlisted firms to the selection board for the interviews further evaluation. Air Force program manager prepare and coordinate pre-selection board appointment letters for the prospective board members. All voting boards should have experience in architectural engineering, construction, and related with the acquisition manager matters of PFAR 36022. At a point of minimum for 3 for the voting, each of the board individual cannot serve as a voting member on both parties designated alternate, ensuring each of the board have a minimum of 3 voting members. Appointing a minimum of 3 voting members of each of the board individual cannot serve as a voting member on the both boards. Select an alternate voting member of each of the board to ensure the board of the minimum 3 voting. Air Force program manager, the voting member of the pre-selection section board that cannot be voting. The both are recommended the Air Force program manager of the selected board. If there is a base level selection, Air Force program manager, the member of the base corps base civil engineering staff of one of the base civil engineering base corps engineering typically invited with the members of the pre-selection board. Air Force program manager, usually representatives should be measured. A member of the selection board capacity of the voting and non-voting members is discussed later. The Air Force program manager should be also recommended in base level board members of the base level selection. The Air Force program AFRS Instruction 32-1023, Chapter 3 requires selection board chairperson to experience in the AE selection process. Their contracting requirements must be registered architectural professional engineer certified planner, although desirable chairperson selection the board does not have the registered architecture and professional engineering certified planner. Definition of professional regulation can be different, but based on the circumstances outside the U.S. boundary, satisfying either the host nation registration, but the requirements of U.S. registration requirements will suffice. The contracting should have the same representatives on both boards and non-voting members to ensure the selection documentation method is used to comply with applicable regulations and policies. A recorder should be appointed to serve both boards to prepare the board packets and documentation of the proceeding. The typical non-voting member assignment the approval authority is a person authorized to approve the minutes of the pre-selection board of the AFI 32-123-1023. The Chapter 3 with further information. The Air Force Program Manager prepares the board appointment with letters to be signed by the approval authority. The appointment letters should be identified no voting members. The Air Force Program Manager coordinates with all the boards voting and non-voting for acceptable determining date and time location of either the board. The list of each of the board named the name of the rate guard with the official symbol of professional registration, if any. Determine the interview with during the selecting board of the process of that person's telephone schedule selection board meeting time, the dates, and the adequate advance notice of accommodation per board, the preparation before the first any interview notice. The pre-selection board does not conduct any interviews. Telephone interviews are normally adequate. Personal interviews take the often result in presentation by the A&E marketing people, not people who will do the project. If using the personal interview, see the guidelines for the A&E to the time of the duration may attend, but the will be covered. Let them know that the selection board wants to interview the person who will be doing the work for the non-marketing staff, not the marketing staff. Written interviews are used with the contracting office to believe the documentation necessary and acceptable. The AFI 32-123, Chapter 3, additional information example of the board letter and available to the Appendix 22, the board appointment letter, and also the military contract coach product list. 9. Login standard forms 254 and 255. If the contractor is out of the office to do, they ensure there is a designated representative checking the contracting officer's demand on deliveries. The contracting officer is responsible for ensuring the submittal of the login file, but their activities are often delegated by the Air Force program, and the contracting officer may make sure submittals received at the close of the submission for the day and the time prescribed with the case business day. The announcement are logged in the submittal of the area and mail carrier over the night and delivery personnel delivering and any all submittals must be required the date and time of the receipt. The Air Force program manager should also be familiar with the contracting officer policy regarding electronic submittals. We'll make sure the standard form 254 and 255 both include the submittals. Note that the verification log should multiple copies required for the Commerce Business Day announcement. Also, copies should be dated with the timestamp and correct quantity of the type of the submittal with the receipt, not the error in the log in the sheet of the sample of the log in the sheet of the Appendix S, standard form 254 and 255 login sheet and on the product's Milcon coach. Weight of the A&E evaluation factors. The AFB, the Air Force program is responsible for the A&E evaluation factor documentation recommendation working of each of the factor selection boards. The evaluation factors must be identical to the published in the commercial boarding and synapses, commercial business day and synapses. And the same ranking order for us cannot be eliminated at this point, but the ranking order cannot be changed. The Air Force program manager evaluate recommending the appropriate weight for each evaluation factor based on the complexity and size. Schedule of a project with the Air Force program management is also shared with the solicit weighting criteria for the approving authority staff. The weight of each of the factors should be the succeeding factor in order to publish the commercial bid. The daily must equal the lesser one of the before it. See selection board of the weighing of the evaluation during factors during the deliberation. Either board modifying the weight of the factor. The limitation is established by the FARS 36.601.4, FARS 236.602.1, unless otherwise directed with approval authority. The weighing of the factor portions of the balloting form of the recommendation evaluation parameter is high sensitive and must be marked with official use only. The Air Force program manager should be verified the contractor authorization interpretation of the Department of Defense policy concerning the amount of the Department of Defense contract awards the previous 12 months. See the FARS 236.602.1 for the additional information. See the samples regarding weight evaluation factors, Appendix 424, weighting factors available to products of the Milcon and Coach. AFCE Brooks AF Mill. Alright, pre-selection membership of the organization. Voting members must be a minimum of 3 pre-selection chairmen with the technical knowledge and experience of the professional regulation, preferable but not required. At least 2 additional members with the technical knowledge and experience, one the alternate in case member that cannot be attended. The youth of representative the optional of the voting members should be made with the qualifications established as far as 36602. Non-voting members, contracting officers representing the use of representing the operational record, typical non-voting member. Air Force Program Management should confirm the board meeting schedule, set the board appointment of the Air Force Program Manager should ensure the packet of the documentation available to each of the board of these packets or should include copy of the statement of the work if applicable, copy of the pre-selection board appointment letter, copy of the commercial commerce business daily synopsis manner and evaluation factors identifying the commercial commerce business daily announcement and recommendation weight balloting forms, copying AFI 32-123 chapter 3, selecting architectural engineering firms past performance and value information of the A&E contract administrative support system or ACAS available. The B and A&E evaluation process, check for the number of the years and key A&E staff members that have been affirmed for some time. The A&E show up with the project in section A, whether are the actual project individual staff, the members, while there are other firms, the pre-selection pre-selection board chairperson asked for the contracting officer representative to make the comments for the board for the previous members on the confidential meeting of the board member responsibility each for that and board members packet. Since the standard form 254 and 255 submittals will be used for the pre-selection board of the pre-selection board should be cautioned not to make notes of the submittals of the judges of the selection board. The board that reviewed the evaluation factor approved the modified weighting of each of the evaluation factor prior to the review of any submittal. Check the firm and the experience represents the official proposing the do the work of the branch office. The source of geographical location requirement of the previous Department of Defense contract award must be identical to all the board members of the A&E. That should be the objective of the scoring based on the criteria established for the board measuring members before scoring begins. The method of ranking of the firms, scoring of the firms, and qualification must be established before scoring. The beginning of the required minutes using the total minutes scored by all the members of one method. Ranking each of the firm ordinal and another table 31 should or difference between the ranking based on the total points ordinating ordinal ranking using total points score breaker time system. Task score AE form score should be from A, B, and C and D. Board member 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and their order ranking. Use architectural contracting administration support system or ACAS database information past performance evaluation completing AE forms information ACAS nwpusa.army.mil.ct.I welcome HTML at following address. U.S. Army Corps Engineering Portland District ACAS Center PO Box 2946 Portland. Each of the board member independent reviews the score of the standard form to 254-55 on the balloting form, provided that having some of the pre-selection recalculated with the score to check for the mathematical and using electronic spreadsheet to calculate the source of the check all the verifying accuracy. After scoring and submittal, the board members should review the score of the evaluation for each of the firm, resolving the significant discrepancies should be consistent with non-identical between the board members. Unresolved issues, the logic of the scoring that should be recorded in the minutes. Acceptable board members disagree. The grounding of the disagreement should be required in the minutes. Air Force Instruction 32-123, Chapter 3, recommendation pre-selection should be submitted between the 3 or 6 qualified AE selection board of the consideration. Exact numbers should be based on the logic breaking and score between the firms and the list of the shows selected firms in alphabetical order. See, pre-selection business meeting minutes are prepared by the chairperson, recorded approval by the approving authority. Ensure the minutes are FOUO. AFPA program manager prepares the letter transmits the name of the shortlisted chairperson selected order approval authority with this letter, which assigns each of the shortlisted firms the geographical location previous to 12 months. The Department of Defense Board of Air Force Program Management survives assure approval of the pre-selection board of minutes that has been obtained by the Department prior to the notification. Shortlisted firms and contracting officer representatives did not attend the pre-selection board. The Air Force Program Manager can check to see if the contracting officer needs to review the minutes prior to the shortlisting notification, which concurs with the contracting officer. Air Force Program Manager will send the letter to all the firms which not listed notifying the air status. A chairperson of the pre-selection must be capable of debriefing the non-selected by the A&E, even though the contracting officer responsibility generally delegated with approval authority will redelegate the selection board chairman person. D. Products. A final product pre-selection will include the see example of the following items: Appendix 25 ballot forms, 26 letters shortlisted, and final board, and Appendix 27 non-selected letters, Appendix 28 pre-selection board minutes, and the products pick listing of the military coach. Balloting forms approved letter of transmittal shortlisted firms that should contain the raw data of each of the shortlisted forms, scoring, geographical location, valuation of the factor, the amount of the Department of Defense contract award, previous 12 months, the generic non-selection letter A forms pre-selection board minutes of the should not be formed of the selection board. Notification of shortlisted forms. The Air Force program is required with the selected board of the responsive notification shortlisted A and E interviewed the telephone notification forwarded with the done by factor letter selection and board chairperson designated alternate to help the Air Force program manager prepare a script used the A&E during the telephone interviews. Air Force program manager recorded and should understand the responsibility notifying the short list of the A&E on the specific information that they communicated with the firm. See the telephone notification description. Appendix 29 short list and notification strip. Military con coach. Air Force program should discuss the selected board chairman time schedule, the allocation shortlisted A and interviews more anticipated number of the firm's shortlist if the time scheduled within the event of the day of the interview may be needed with the change of the board member's schedule. The person interviews plan with the sufficient time must be allocated for the firm set up to remove the materials personnel with the presentation room. The Air Force program management selected board chairperson should also prepare the interview sheet for each firm. The short list of each of the telephones and the caller should be filmed. The point of the contact interview, the time of the interview, specify the time of the zone is appropriate, confirm the telephone to be called with the selection board. The Air Force program and is reordered with the calls the A&E notified them with a short list of the selection schedule interview with the time duration. Example of the shortlisting notification interview worksheet is available in Appendix 29 shortlisting notification script and Appendix 30 interview worksheet respectively. They are available the product pick list of the Milcon coach. Section 13, Selection Boards. A member organization. Voting members must be in a minimum of 3 selection board arrangements. Technical knowledge, experience, professional administration mandatory. At least 2 additional members of the technical knowledge, experience. The Air Force program management should include a non-voting member of the pre-selection board. One in the alternate case the voting member cannot attend. Use a representative. The optional voting members should be meet the qualifications established before 36602. No voting member of the contracting officer responsibility representative. The using representative operator record typical non-voting member of the Air Force program, the voting member of the pre-selection board. Selection board of the chairperson generally select the A&E interview passes. The Air Force program should be included with the chairperson pre-packaged with other board members. The arranged for the interview room schedule to confirm the attendance of the board members in the interviews. Selection board chairperson designated representative. Often the Air Force program manager prepares the interview worksheet. Air Force program manager should conclude ensure the packet documentation available. Each of the board members of these packets include copy of the statement of the board of the selection board appointment letter, the copy of the commerce business daily synopsis mandatory evaluation factors identified with the commerce business daily announcement and the recommended weighing ballot forms, copying Air Force instruction 32-123 selecting architectural engineering firms and AE interview script. The A&E evaluation, the evaluation guided by the pre-selection board selection, with the guide and equal to the selection board evaluation process. Selection chair board of the contracting officer representative of the commitment of the boards, then brief the members on the confidential of the meetings. Board members the responsibility each of the items of the broad packet. Board's member of the packet. The chairman reviewed the selection of the process proceeded with the board members within the emphasis for the interview. The board reviewed the evaluation factor, replied with modifying the weight of each of the factor. Limited is for the established 36602 32 departs 36-236-602-1 prior to the review of any submittals. Applicable to the members should ask all the interviewed the A firms the same question regarding each of the firm's experience with multiple personal technical qualification capable of being provided with the A&E's architectural engineering services identified with the commerce business daily announcement. During the interviews, all members should record their own notes. At the interview, the chairperson should incorporate each of the board members' individual comments and consolidate the summary of each of the firm. The chairperson is also responsible for preparing the minutes of the selection board for the obtaining the approval of the authority. These minutes are made by the FOUO. See the example of the Board of Minutes, Appendix 31, Selection Board of Minutes. These are available at the product of the middle of the Code. Using additional information leading during the interview selection board, evaluation factors, then incorporate the raw data of the presidential board, the geographical location, eventual factor, the amount of the Department of Defense awarded with the previous 12 months, and something new and learned during the interviews that must be recorded in the minutes. If they have been scoring with the A&E submitted with the Department of Defense for contract awards, geographical location scores shall be in the same with each of the voting member. Each member's individual scoring comment sheets should be kept in the possible debriefing questions of the contracting officer. The chairperson of the board with the most capable of debriefing non-selected AE forms with the contracting officer responsibly generally delegated with approval of the authority term to re-delegate the selection board chairperson. Section 14, the Air Force Program Management writes the letter of the contracting officer concerning the architectural engineering selection using the prepared format, attachments, assembly, selection, secure signatures, and purchase the request documentation brief with the approval authority if requested. No one shall discuss selection procedure will result in the independent government's estimate with any of the AI architectural engineering firms. The Air Force Program should coordinate the and revise the schedule with the contracting officer. Approval must be signed by the selected minutes, but they should also sign the transmittal letter with the contracting officer. The architectural engineering fee proposal exceed expected of the $500,000 greater request the transmittal letter to the contracting officer of the Defensive Contracting Auditing Agency to proceed to the request that the normal requested selected firm has not been audited for the past 12 months as far as 15.4034, 15.4042, and the check with the contracting officer for the information. See Appendix 32, selection of the letter of the contract for the sample letter transmitted notification. A&E service selection for the contracting officer. Air Force Program Manager include the following items as attachment: standard in the works, minutes of the pre-selection board with attachment, minutes of the selection board with attachment, purchase request documentation, commitment to the funds letter, evaluation weighting factors, blank estimated proposal forms, independent government estimate, generic non-selected material letter with address labels, and this the contracting officer responsible to notify the architectural engineering firm. Chapter 4, Designing Startup.